All right, let's do a quick check-in. What I want you to do is grab your 4.1 handout that has all of those great notes on it that you just took, and I want you to use it to help you translate the statements that appear on your screen symbolically, okay? So I really want you to go ahead and pause your video and do this work. It's a great way for you to check in with yourself in just a couple of minutes to see how well you're absorbing this very new information related to propositional logic. So go ahead and pause your video, translate these statements symbolically, and when you're ready to check your work, go ahead and restart your video. All right, let's see what you did. So Ben is not sitting in his chair, even though it is uncomfortable. We're going to use the letter B to represent the statement Ben is sitting in his chair, the letter C to represent the chair is comfortable throughout this here. Okay, and I see a couple of things in this original statement that stand out to me as important. One is that we have this phrase even though, which functions a lot like the word furthermore, however, moreover, and, but. In other words, this is signaling conjunction, which means we're going to have a dot in our translation. I also see in the original sentence that we have negation going on here. So I'm using B to represent the statement Ben is sitting in his chair, but the translation says Ben is not sitting in his chair. So I'm going to have a tilde somewhere in my translation. So we're going to translate this as tilde B dot C. This says it is not the case that Ben is sitting in his chair and it is comfortable, or even though it is comfortable. Now you're maybe thinking this, well, I did it differently. I chose to represent the statement Ben is not sitting in his chair with the letter B, and so therefore my translation is B dot C. And if that's what you did, that's not technically incorrect, but it's going to be kind of funky if we try to use individual letters to represent sentences that have negation embedded into them. Here's why. We may encounter a situation where we have versions of the same sentence appearing over and over and over again. So if I want to represent Ben is not sitting in his chair with the letter B, and then later on I want to represent the statement Ben is sitting in his chair, I'm going to have to say tilde B. It's going to be this weird kind of double negation because that tilde says it is not the case. So tilde B in this situation says it is not the case that Ben is not sitting in his chair. In other words, Ben is sitting in his chair. And it can get really counterintuitive because we're going to be looking at those tildes and we're going to automatically think, okay, this is negating something. And if we're negating a negation, we're sort of doing a double negative, and then that gets really tricky to follow. So as much as we can, we're going to try to make the sentences that we're symbolically representing affirmative sentences and then negate them as necessary. Number 2, Ben is not sitting in his chair. Moreover, the chair is uncomfortable. That's going to give us tilde B dot tilde C. Okay, so we've got Ben is not sitting in his chair again, and we've got the chair is uncomfortable. And it's not that tilde C and C are term complements of one another like we thought of in categorical logic. It's just the case that if the chair is uncomfortable, that's the equivalent of saying it is not the case that the chair is comfortable. And that's what tilde communicates. The chair is not comfortable, tilde C says, or the chair is uncomfortable, tilde C says. Number 3, the chair is comfortable if Ben is sitting in it. Okay, if. Whatever follows if is going to appear on the left side of a horseshoe. Does that mean it should be C horseshoe B or B horseshoe C? It should be B horseshoe C, okay? So this is something we're going to be wanting to watch out for. Sometimes when we have conditional statements, statements that use the word if or its equivalent, the first part of our symbolized sentence, in this case B, may appear later in the sentence. It's not always going to appear at the beginning of a sentence. So we always want to remember that rule. Whatever follows the word if or its equivalent is going to appear on the left-hand side of the horseshoe. Whatever follows the phrase only if is going to appear on the right-hand side of a horseshoe. If Ben is not sitting in his chair, then it is uncomfortable. We're going to represent that as tilde B horseshoe tilde C because Ben is not sitting in his chair, so we negate B, and the chair is not comfortable, so we negate C. Number 5, the chair is uncomfortable if Ben is not sitting in it. So again, we see this if. Whatever follows if is going to go on the left-hand side of our horseshoe. So if Ben is not sitting in his chair, we're going to say tilde B horseshoe tilde C because the chair is not comfortable. And finally, number 6, Ben is sitting in the chair if and only if it is uncomfortable. All right, if and only if, that's the rare instance where we get to use our triple bar, right? Because we have the phrase if and only if being combined up here. So B triple bar tilde C.